Hello everybody, in this video I want to debunk everything you need to know about attraction and about what makes women attracted by men, not only in the first impression but on the long term. And you will see that contrary to what you might think, it's not that different from what you as a man find attractive in women. So let's dive right into it. First, I like to structure this into three categories. One being really external, one being the skills, and one being what's inside, the internal. And those are also pushed very differently by the society or by the mainstream as far as what works and what doesn't. The external category are all the things that you have, all the things that are possessions that can be bought. I mean, in those things, some examples are the looks, the muscles, the hairstyle, the skin style, the money, the social status, whether it's professional or your success status or your social status, and obviously your height, and so on and so forth. All those things that either you cannot change because, I mean, that's just something that is written in your passport, which cannot necessarily be changed, like your height, or things that can literally be sold to you, such as hair implants or your subscription to the next gym or the next supplement that is supposed to make you get ripped and fit, and so on and so forth. We have examples for every single thing in there, especially that you need money, you need to build status and success before you actually become worth the attention of women. So this is basically considering you as someone that has no value unless you build value, you acquire value. These are the first things, and they matter on the long run as well. They are just sold in a way by society that, like, we put probably 95% of the effort of creating attraction to the opposite sex to all those things that I just mentioned, when from what I'm saying, you already start to feel that I'm going to get to the point of where they're not so important, especially on the long run, and if you want to create a very happy and fulfilling relationship, as well as feeling free inside and feeling like you're actually worth of what you're getting. The second thing is, the as I said, the skills, or the what you do, the what you can learn, the skills that you can act on. These are more difficult to get because you cannot just put some money on the table and learn how to speak like James Bond, right? These are all the traits related to the charisma, the body language, the eye contact that you create, the voice tonality, the pace at which you speak. But there are also other traits such as how entertaining you are, the humor you have, right? How you make the woman laugh, how you storytell, how you're able to captivate your audience, how you're able to display and present yourself in a good way, what you say, your intelligence, what's in the content pretty much of the interaction, just right here. Also, how cool you are, how perceived, how cool, what's your level of coolness, how cool are you in your own circle, and how you're perceived as being cool. Your sexual communication, how you're able to make assumptions or misunderstandings, or how you're able to create that banter vibe or sexual tension. These are all things related to the dynamics of the conversation. Obviously, your knowledge, your expression, how you express yourself in general. This is something that is really key to understanding, because these are skills that are necessary and important to communicate with someone. Even though you can communicate a lot of things just from who you are, at some point you really need to make a connection with that other person, whether it's just through eye contact and speaking with your eyes, or through a story, just some verbal type of communication, or even just touching. All the skills that you can learn, all the stuff that you can learn as far as what to do and what to not do. This is something that most dating coaches, and they're right, focus on, because that's something that is not taught anywhere at school and with your parents. Nobody tells you those things. You can either learn them by accident, just by trying something, or because you're drunk, which is not the best way to go about that. But at the end of the day, you might run into some reference experiences that will give you the confidence and ability to do this, or you can acquire them through some indirect ways, such as playing sports or learning how to be a good stand-up comedian, how to make jokes, and so on and so forth. These are more things related to, yeah, your charisma, how you present yourself. So these are really skills or things that you do. And the third category, and that's the one that nobody talks about, is the internal, who you are, the being. That's something you don't learn. That's something you don't have. That's something you have. That's something you are. It's something you are, and that you can only put some layers on it to cover it. And that's really key, because on the long run, the havings, what you have, is something that it's very easy to pretty much get bored of all those things. At some point, your humor is gonna become habitual to the other person, even if that person loves it. What makes it so unique is how much variety you're able to add to it by having the full package of who you are inside and being able to transmit it. And this is what we're talking about in this final category, the internal signs of attraction. And these, if you ask men and women alike, what is rated as being the most attractive trait of a personality, what scores highest is confidence, even though this is something that is not totally well defined usually in when you ask someone. The definition is pretty subjective. However, this is something that scores high, and this is just a translation of people feeling that what really matters, especially in the long run, is what is inside. That's what most people lack. Other aspects of that might be your self-awareness, how you know yourself, how you know what you want, so that you can set boundaries. Boundary setting is something like that, because it shows self-esteem, self-respect, the fact that you're being unapologetic about who you are and you just assume who you are. These are all things that usually are put behind the word confidence, even though they are completely different things that are developed or that exist inside in a completely different way. How comfortable you are with dealing with tension. Most guys, they learn what moves to do in which order to make themselves attractive and to kind of arouse the women, but they are not really comfortable with handling the tension, handling things when it gets edgy, where it gets to the edge, whether it's sexually or whether it's in an argument or in a communication, where one of those emotion that is not easy to handle needs to be handled, such as anger, sadness, or excitement. Those emotions show how well you're able to deal with that tension. There is also the sexual vibe, obviously, and that's something that probably from, as a man, you see women walking around, and some of them from the outside, the what they have, how they look like, how they're dressed up, and so on, they are just gorgeous, but you don't feel that tension. You don't feel that feminine attraction emanating from them like a magnet, or like something that really pulsates and radiates around you. That sexual vibe obviously is key to all attempt to seduce, and if you just know then how to communicate it properly and how to maybe show it from the outside, those things just amplify and amp up everything that you have inside. Finally, authenticity, how congruent you are to who you are, your leadership, how close you are to how much you're able to influence others, to make them break their own limits, to make them go past their fears, how you are also able to yourself get past those things, because a leader is eventually just something that does things that others don't and motivates others or triggers others into doing those same things as well. And this is really obviously key to designing a great relationship, because it takes balls and it takes decision making to really take this and adjust on the way, as obviously things change and you need to calibrate. Finally, we have all the usual things that are talked about, how you enjoy yourself in a conversation or just in the presence of someone else, your purpose, how much you are aligned with what you want in your life, the sense of freedom in the general term, how free you feel in your life, this feeling of being fulfilled. These are all things that are super magnetic. Your self-love, your auto-derision, which is something that says that you're able to laugh about yourself, again going back to enjoyment, your spontaneity, your masculinity, and finally, I would mention this one because this one is really underrated nowadays. It's health, and I put this one in the category of the internal stuff, because it has nothing to do with how you look. In fact, if you look, for example, at an indicator such as body fat, women don't really care about your body fat if you have many other things aside, like that's not necessarily something that women care about, the looks and so on. But on the long term, there is something that really is triggered inside someone, because a woman will start to make plans for the future with you. And imagine her waking up next to you 5 years, 10 years down the road, and just seeing you being not in the best shape of your life, starting to see you having insomnia, starting to you having bad smell, starting you having it's just brain fog, not being happy all day long, being depressed. All those things go back to health, and it has nothing to do with how you look. They might go hand in hand, because obviously, if you're healthy, usually you look good, and health is not necessarily what is advised to do nowadays. But as I said, those indicators are: how is your digestion? How much visceral fat you have? A better indicator than body fat. To decide if you're attractive or not. And this is something that you can ask women that will see guys in magazines who have literally zero subcutaneous fat, but they have tremendous amount of visceral fat because they eat processed crap that make them not healthy inside. And this is something that a woman will pick on, because these are things that are reflected in your ability to procreate, to be there for her, and so on and so forth. Such as your sperm will have a less quality if you're not healthy. So this is something really important that could be a topic on its own. But this is the breakdown of the 3 levels of what really makes attraction, and all these things come into play, and they are important. They are all important. The difference is that the proportions of them and the importance is really, really variable. I would put that internal, that third category that we said, so on the bottom as the foundation of everything. This makes up for probably 70 to 80% of all the attraction. Then you have the communication, which makes it for the remaining 20 to 25%, and the have, which makes probably for something like 5%. And that's really what it is, because someone that really loves himself and cares for himself is also going to find ways to make himself look attractive in the mirror for himself and not for others. And this is exactly where it comes from. All these aspects, you can learn to wear a social mask and learn how to communicate, how to manipulate, how to be a great communicator, look like James Bond and so on, but deep inside not believing it. And this is coming from an entirely different place, because you are putting yourself out there as if you were someone else. In the same way, you can hire just some coach that will get you ripped and look good and have muscles, and you can improve your hairstyle, get an amazing job, and have a lot of money. But if you're doing that again to impress others, or as I said at the beginning, to feel good enough to finally go and talk to that girl, that's not going to have the effect that it could have if inside you knew that you were valuable. And this is something that goes back to all those fears of making the wrong decisions for your life, because if you focus on the wrong things when it comes to these aspects, you are going to be screwed. And you're not going to be screwed because you're not going to be able to get sex or to get attraction or attention in the first place, but you will be screwed because at some point someone will discover what are your true reasons why you are doing those things. And you better be lucky that this person knows how to help you in that situation, because that's going to be a big, big, big breakdown for you at this moment. So if someone sees your reasons, if you're just trying to project yourself as someone else, that's what many people do wrong when they get into relationships. They believe that before they can just play as they can so that they create this attraction, and then they believe that the person is attracted to them and that everything is going to be okay, and they can start to change and reveal themselves more. And this is the reason why many couples fail, because at some point you have to reveal yourself. And if the partner discovers that actually you're just unhealthy inside, if I take this example again, you don't have that confidence, you're not able to stand up for yourself, you're not able to guide your life where you want, you're not able to handle tensions of life, you're not enjoying yourself, you're not having the freedom inside to go and face all those things and possible issues that will come up, the attraction will diminish, and there is no way around that. So I hope this video was helpful. Obviously, this explains you why in my programs we focus so much on the internal stuff and what you are, and then all the communication aspect that comes totally naturally, and we have some add-ons as far as all the halves that are very easy to get. Actually, they're not necessarily expensive or complicated to get. But once you dial in all that, once you express and you awaken all that self-confidence, that self-love, that those leadership abilities, basically just your attractive personality, then everything comes naturally. So if that's something that you're interested, I would like to hear from you. Let me know what of those um, aspects or what of those traits, which ones is something you need to work on and something you think you have seen also women around you need to work on. Then let me know in the comment section below. And if you are interested in getting some help in really getting to the age of 60 and looking back and knowing that you haven't made any mistake and knowing that you have unleashed your potential when it comes to your dating life, then just click the link below, schedule a call with either me or a member of my team. We'll assess your situation, see exactly if and how we can help you. I see you in the next video.